You've told the story of how it ended 100 times, to your best friend over coffee, to your sister on the phone, and to yourself at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, running the exact same scene on a loop. Every time you recount the timeline, the final text, the strange silence, the exact moment you knew, it feels like progress. There is a thin line between replaying a breakup and actually reflecting on it, and while they look identical from the outside, they lead to very different outcomes. To understand how heartbreak behaves in the wild, researchers analyzed more than 1 million posts from thousands of people on Reddit. By tracking linguistic fingerprints, like pronoun usage and emotional cues, they were able to watch the wound of a breakup open and close in slow motion. One kind of remembering slowly stitches the self back together. The other keeps the wound open, fresh and bleeding for weeks. This data shows how language shifts during a crisis. In the 3 months leading up to a split, people use the word I more frequently, the sound of someone pulling apart from a we. Immediately after the breakup, these markers spike as the mind frantically tries to make a story out of chaos. On average, it takes roughly 9 months for these linguistic patterns to return to a baseline. The arc from the first cracks to feeling like yourself again is a long, measurable process. If you are 3 weeks out and falling apart, you are not behind or weak. You are right on schedule for an event that, according to the data, takes the better part of a year to resolve. However, the study contained a specific warning. The people who posted most frequently, those who stayed inside the story and retold it the most, took the longest to return to their baseline. Staying inside the loop doesn't drain the pain away, it refills the well. Researchers in Italy followed hundreds of young adults to identify the specific mental habit that stalls this recovery. They found it in rumination. Thinking moves forward to solve a problem, but rumination circles. It's a passive loop where you return to the same painful thought or imagined conversation, not to reach a conclusion, but just to feel the impact again. This repetitive cycle is tightly linked to avoidance coping. Replaying the loss makes you more likely to withdraw from real life. You skip the dinner with friends or avoid the routines that might rebuild you, which leaves you with more time alone to replay the pain. The loop feeds itself. Spinning the wheel provides the sensation of processing, but it functions as a defense mechanism to avoid the present. Consider someone like Maya. She's 6 weeks out from a 3-year relationship and can name every mistake her partner made. She's read the articles and knows her attachment style, yet she is still standing in the same spot. Her friends have heard this exact telling 4 times now, word for word. When a story stops evolving and becomes a rigid script with the same villains and the same ending, it isn't being examined anymore, it's being memorized. The mind acts like a record with a deep scratch. The music plays for a moment, the needle hits the groove, and it jumps back. You're no longer listening to the song, you're trapped in the same 2 seconds. Playing the memory one more time won't change the ending. The groove itself is the problem. Moving forward doesn't require you to stop thinking about the breakup entirely. It requires you to think differently. In studies where participants recovered more effectively, the key was a process called self-concept reorganization. When you're in a relationship, your identity merges with another person. When they leave, you lose more than a partner. You lose the version of yourself that existed inside that we. Underneath that loss is a raw, blurry question of who you are now, alone. Rumination points backward into the wreckage to ask why they left. Reflection points forward to ask who you are becoming. Genuine recovery means moving from being a character in a story about loss to being the author of a story about a new, independent identity. Noticing the direction of a thought in the moment reveals where it's leading. If the mind is replaying the last fight or imagining what they're doing now, the needle is just hitting that same scratch. But noticing a personal need or picturing a life without them in the center is a move forward. This is why distance is necessary. It isn't a game to win someone back. It's a way to stop dragging the needle to the scratch. Every reread of an old message hands rumination fresh fuel. Because the mind hates a vacuum, distance must be paired with presence. That means a routine, a friend you actually show up for, and a version of your evenings that belongs to you again. You are moving back into the life they used to occupy and putting your own things on the shelves. Recovery happens through the quiet, active reclamation of the self that existed before the heartbreak, and the one that gets to come next. Replay keeps the wound open, but a forward-facing reflection is what finally allows it to close.